Today, we're not just looking at a villain. We are, for all intents and purposes, performing an autopsy on a narrative masterpiece. We're going to peel back all the layers and really dig into the philosophical architecture of one of the most unique and, frankly, terrifying antagonists ever dreamed up, the Sapphire Jester. And right out of the gate, you get a feel for him. That's the Jester's voice right there. It's menacing, it's poetic, and it is just chillingly smart. This one line, you guys, it sets the entire stage for the philosophical battle we're about to unpack. And that really brings us to the core question of this whole explainer. See, this isn't just some monster who wants to break things. This is a character with a coherent, logical, and terrifyingly persuasive reason for what he does. So let's investigate how a villain like this is even built. Okay, so our analysis, our autopsy, begins by looking at the finished product. Who, or maybe more accurately, what is the Sapphire Jester? And probably the best way to get your head around him is with this really powerful metaphor. He's a sculptor, but in reverse. Now, what's so cool about this slide is how it perfectly defines his purpose. You know, a traditional artist, they chip away at a block of marble to reveal the form, the soul that's hidden inside. The Jester, he does the exact opposite. He takes the living, breathing, beautiful complexity of a person and just dissolves it, melts it down into this uniform, featureless slurry. He doesn't reveal, he erases. And this is the brilliant and horrifying result of that process. He's not just metaphorically empty, he's physically and metaphysically vacant. He's literally become a component, a building block. The source material explains that attacks just get absorbed and diverted. And why is that? Because there's no self left to hurt. He's achieved this twisted kind of invulnerability by completely annihilating himself. So, okay, we know what he is. But the real question, the one that matters, is why. To get that, we have to dig into his core philosophy, what the source material calls his gospel of nothing. So, this is not the kind of passive nihilism where you just think, oh, well, nothing matters. No way. New nihilism is active, it's aggressive, it's a philosophy with a goal. It looks at the entire universe, sees a fundamental flaw with existence itself, and then proposes a final solution, total and complete erasure, what it calls perfected nullity. And here's the truly terrifying part. It all follows a kind of logic. So step one, the problem. Being an individual means you're in a constant state of agonizing friction with everything else. Step two, the cause. The very things we think make life worth living, our consciousness, our memories, our ability to love, those are actually the source of all our pain, which of course leads to the horrifying solution. The only way to find real peace is to extinguish that spark, to completely erase the self. Now, a philosophy this monstrous, it needs an equally powerful origin story to back it up. So how is this character actually built from a storytelling perspective? Let's take a look at the blueprint. This right here is the absolute structural genius behind this character. His origin is a direct, point-by-point, deliberate inversion of Joseph Campbell's classic hero's journey. So where the hero gets a call to adventure, the jester gets a call to absence. Where the hero finds mentors to build him up, the jester finds mentors of erasure to tear him down. And where the hero returns with a gift for the world, the jester returns with a sentence. So let's actually walk down that inverted path, stage by stage, and look at the evidence to see how this deconstruction really works. The journey kicks off not with a hero being reluctantly pushed out of his comfort zone, but with a protagonist, called the Striver, willingly walking into oblivion. For him, existence itself is the source of pain. So this journey to unmake himself, it's not a trial, it's a relief. And he doesn't walk this path alone. Instead of, a wise old mentor figure, he meets these characters, the Pale Redeemer, the Whispering Seraph, the All-Consuming Ma. Each one is a twisted, inverted archetype. They systematically teach him to devalue his own existence. They convince him that peace is just absorption, that his thoughts are meaningless static, and that all of life is just fuel to be burned. This all builds to the story's climax, which is described with this just incredible phrase. See, apotheosis is that moment a hero becomes godlike, when they achieve enlightenment. For the Striver, that moment gets twisted into its absolute, horrifying opposite. In this place called the Furnace of Rebirth, the protagonist doesn't find his true self or gain some profound wisdom. No, instead, his very being, his soul, his individuality, It's completely and utterly snuffed out. And what crawls out of that furnace is no longer the striver. It's the sapphire jester, a perfect copy, a mindless duplicate, just another component part designed to serve some greater horrifying cosmic plan. The man is gone. All that's left is the function. Okay, the transformation is complete. But what does this new creature do? Let's look at the final stage of this inverted journey, his return to the world, and what his ultimate purpose really is. You know how a traditional hero comes back from their journey with a gift, a boon, to heal their community? Well, the Sapphire Jester returns with a sentence. He doesn't look at the world and see something to be saved. He sees a system full of errors, glitches, bugs, individuals that need to be corrected. And this all comes to life in the story's final, climactic confrontation. The last little bit of a hero, someone who still believes in the self, desperately cries out, "I have a name. I have memories." And the Jester's reply, "Man, it is just devastatingly cold." He dismisses the entire concept of a name, of an identity, as just a meaningless noise that's disturbing the perfect quiet of nothingness. The hero finally sees it, right? He understands the full horror of the transformation. He calls the Jester what he looks like to us, a monster, an empty shell. But the Jester, he doesn't see it that way at all. In his mind, he hasn't fallen. He has ascended. He's shed the messy, chaotic, painful burden of being a person and has become something pure, something perfect, order itself. And that right there is the core of his monstrosity. When the Sapphire Jester acts, he doesn't think he's committing murder. He truly believes he is performing a necessary, even merciful correction. He's just smoothing out that agonizing friction of the soul to grant his victims the only true peace he believes can ever exist. And all of that leaves us with one final, haunting question to think about. We're so used to villains who fall from grace, who are corrupted against their will. But the Sapphire Jester gives us something far more disturbing. A villain whose journey is a willing, deliberate, and philosophically coherent ascent into absolute nothingness. What does that say about our ideas of heroism, of identity, and of the very meaning of existence itself?